Namaste, Jai Bharat. The situation in Bangladesh is getting more serious. The situation is something like from frying pan to fire. Initially, we have seen some makeshift students were put on the street, no matter whosoever is behind it, but there are people behind it. You can speculate, you can find out. They put the students on the street, and the elected prime minister had to flee from that country. Then suddenly, from out of the blue, a caretaker or advisor, not caretaker really, he's designated as an advisor to God alone knows whom, is put. So the whole thing is very simple and straightforward. To make rhetorics and narratives about it, it's a Jamaat-e-Islami. The Jamaat-e-Islami, with the support of some nations who wants to be the authority of or custodians or the autochthones of Islam, as they see. The problem is that religion, when you talk about religion, different religion, the same religion can be distinct in different societies. That's how it has to function. Because the culture differs, though the faith system remains one and the same. It's a very subtle kind of difference, but one has to be very conscious about it. Otherwise, it creates a lot of confusion, as it happens in Pakistan. So there are some people who really wants to be authority and custodians of a brand of religion. Here, in this case, it's Islam. And they were funding the Jamaat-e-Islami. Once the Jamaat-e-Islami is funded, Jamaat-e-Islami is an agency within the Islamic religious framework, who are bent upon taking people back to the 12th century, 11th century, 13th century, whatever it is. They keep doing it. Now what happens is, they had been doing all those things, and they had have problems. They invited problems as well. The Jamaat-e-Islami is not bothered about what happens to the people, obviously. That's how they usually are, wherever they are. They just concerned only with the regime, their authority, and all kinds of... and the leaders at the same time of Jamaat-e-Islami don't follow any rules of Sharia. For themselves, it's all meant for others. They would like... You look at the Ismail Hani and all those people, they live in all possible kinds of luxuries. Now, that is their personal life. But objectively, they will want others to follow the rules. This dichotomy is always there. Not double standard dichotomy, it is actually is always there. So now the Jamaat-e-Islami wanted the constitution to be changed. Because Bangladesh has a constitution. They want to replace the constitution with the Sharia law, whatever is Islamic, or whatever is convenient to Jamaat-e-Islami, or whatever the version of Islamic laws as the Jamaat-e-Islami understand. So they wanted to put that thing, and that kind of again they put students, so-called, on the streets for this. Now, the so-called professor Muhammad Yunus, who is Nobel Prize for Grameen Bank, I don't know what shall happen to him. His situation is threatened. They don't want constitution. Why they don't want constitution? They will tell him, we will write our own constitutions. Of course, they will. Somebody with their immense wisdom of their kind of religion, the laws of Sharia, will create a constitution. Now this is where Bangladesh is heading, of course. What will happen to them? You can imagine. Now, look at Pakistan. See, Pakistan had always been confused about these two phenomena, religion and culture. I spoke about this some time back, exclusive on religion and culture. So Pakistan is permanently confused between religion and culture. If you talk about the culture of Pakistani, there's no difference between Pakistani culture and Indian culture. It's one and the same. But Pakistan is considered Islam as their culture. They call it as Islamic culture. I'll go to another point after this. They'll call it as Islamic culture. Now, what is Islamic culture if they say? Look at that. It's very interesting. If they consider something as Islamic culture, then that's nothing but the Arabic culture. And can the Pakistani be at home with Arabic culture? I don't think so. They can't be at home. So they are neither here nor there, a kind of unfortunate, inconsistent, and repugnant hybrid they become. That's one source of their confusions and dichotomies and dilemmas and problems that you find in Pakistani society. They think that there is an Islamic culture, but they can't adopt the Arabic culture because they are not Arabs. They're obviously Indians, basically, obviously Bharatiyas. So whatever culture if they have, that's Bharatiya Sanskriti. No, though not with the kind of spiritual connotations, was not necessary. Though not with the spiritual connotations, the faith is changed, but the Sanskriti can't be changed. It may take generations. Once it takes generations, they don't live in the Arab world, so they can't adopt the Arab Sanskriti, Arab culture. They can't adopt. So they neither here nor there. All kinds of inconsistencies and problems will get developed in the society, and they will become they are already neither here nor there. And from this semblance of mistakes of synthetic kind of disunity, you don't expect a culture to evolve. You can't. If at all there is something, it's going to take time beyond imagination. If they are lucky, they can. So such thing has not happened because these people won't change their ways of life. If they don't change their ways of life, it simply means they won't change their culture. But they confuse between religion and culture. They think there is something like Islamic culture. So they try to ape the Arab culture in appearance or at a very peripheral level, but can never go into the deeper level. That inconsistency is there. Now there is another nation. There is another nation which is 97 to 98% Islamic. That nation has got 97 to 98% Muslims. That is Tajikistan, Central Asian country, making very good progress. They have maintained, they created a difference between religion and culture. There are Muslims, all right, but they try to highlight or focus on the Tajikistan's own culture. Now they have a construct that they're Aryans, and this Aryan theory is a different thing, but they consider themselves to be Aryans. Whatever name they gave, they have a culture. Let them call this Aryan culture or Aryan culture, whatever it is. That's how they name it. But they have a culture, distinct culture, which has its own history in time, proven in time. They have their own history in time. They have been existing meaningfully all these years. So what happened of late, much later, not in the beginning. In the beginning, they were also like the Pakistani or other Muslim countries. They were also confused between culture and religion. They were also must have been trying to follow the Arab ways of life, thinking that that's how religion is. But now, for last 20 years plus, they have made a distinction between religion and culture. For religion, of course, they agree to religion, but the kind of things that the Arabs do in religions, which is not necessary in their society, they're trying to avoid. Simple. To the extent they said, look, there's a practice in many Islamic worlds that at the time of their prayer, they have 5 times praying business. At the time of their prayers, and they shout in the loudspeakers that there's only one God and this is the God, and you can't pray anyone else, etc. That's the meaning of that asan. So when it happens, wherever they are, they try to pray. Now for Friday prayers, there's a long time. So in other places you see, normally, including Bharat, that there's this long gap, lunch time, for them to go and pray. So cutting off the work to pray is a usual practice with many people. And those that never believe in religion also, those are not all Muslims are religious. Those who are not religious also, they will show that they pray. One is afraid of another. So whenever there is a prayer time, those who don't, it's not very serious about religion also, will go and show more of the kind of that movement of up down kind of prayer. They have a typical method of praying. Then that the government officially stopped. Do not pray by cutting off your work. You do your job. When you're free, you pray. They brought a law and put it into practice. Number one. Number two, as per the laws which is practiced by the Muslims, they want the women to wear black robes covering from head to foot, which is sometimes called as burqa, sometimes parda, sometimes on the head it is hijab, niqab, whatever, so many names. But the black cloth they have banned. And this black cloth banning is nothing new. It happened many years before. I think it must be in early 50s or something like that. One mayor of a city has banned all the black cloth selling shops in the market. So they banned that black cloth. You may want, if you want to wear, you wear any other color, but not the black color. And parda, not necessary. Even that they are banned. So they banned the breaking your job to do prayers, dropping your tools to go to prayers. They dropped the black colored dress, parda, and they suggested, this also is coming as a law, I think it has come as a law, not to take Arab names. I mean, the president or someone has already changed his name. The Muslims usually put their names Arabic, original Arab names. Something like Abdullah, Omar, this thing, that. There were slight variations depending upon the region and the mother tongue. Like, Abraham, the patriarch of Bible, becomes Ibrahim in the Quran, like that. So they put all Arabic names, normally Muslims all over the world. So from the name you can understand whether one is Muslim or not. So that they stopped. Don't put Arabic names which doesn't belong to your culture. You use your cultural names. They come to that action. And there are many such laws the Tajikistan government formed that don't mix religion with culture. That's the point. They are very conscious about their own culture, whether it is name, other kinds of ritualistic practices at their society. They have nothing to do with religion. So they treat religion simply as a faith system and a method of praying, mode of praying, whatever. But beyond that, you can't change your culture. So they want to maintain their culture, be it name and dresses. They have their own distinct way of dressing. Tajiki dress, Tajiki ways of dressing, the ways of dancing, the ways of festivities, their own festivities. Every society shall have their own festivities, etc. So they have their own festivities, their own ways of dressing, their own patterns of wedding, their own ritualistic kind of doing everything. So those things they don't want to substitute with the Arab way of doing. Many times the Arabs may not have what they have. Arab may have something else entirely different. But usually just by virtue of one's being a Muslim, he is forced to follow something which he doesn't understand or which is not in his cultural practice. Suddenly you get your name changed. Which Swami Vivekananda says, change your name into some hodgepodge name. He was talking about Christianization. You change your name into some hodgepodge name to get accepted. So, Tajikistan is very, very conscious about their culture, and they are not living a culture, not simply the society, but the government itself. Simply because I don't think they have any madrasas. If what I understand is correct, they don't have a single madrasa in their society. They have common, normal education pattern, education system. The parents don't send children to madrasa because they don't have any madrasas. So once the madrasa system is removed, once the Nitwit Maulavis teaching them religion is done with, and once you maintain your culture, there's no harm in following any religion. That's what one should do. The religions that those originated in Bharat have been doing this precisely. The only religion which it went out to get itself proselytized is Buddhism. And wherever Buddhism has gone to whichever land, it has become the religion of that Sanskriti, that land. So Buddhism had gone to Tibet. gone to Myanmar, gone to Sri Lanka, gone to China, gone to Japan, and many such areas. So all these places they have their own culture, which is intact. Buddhism had not invaded to other societies, changing their culture. So Buddhism, if you see, look at it, they adopted the culture of the land. That's it. Some days they may even keep the name of the basic Hindu names, Sanskrit names. They may be keeping, especially those monks. But that's also not necessary. Many people have their own names in their language, in their culture. So you need not to change your name into something else to follow a religion. Tajikistan is absolutely correct. See, look at this. On the one hand, Tajikistan is doing this, on the other hand, Pakistan is struggling to go back to 13th, 14th century. They are thinking that Islam is a culture. Even that's of course fundamental mistake of Muhammad Iqbal. He talks Islam is a culture, and he also goes to the extent to say that Islam is a nation. All these confusions destroys human civilization. They are great destroyers. Even the Christianity in medieval times was great destroyers of civilization. And Islam is now presently great destroyers of civilization in this manner because they invade into culture. They don't invade into culture. The Maulavis or the so-called priests would insist on doing this and that way, even dressing. So, look, on the one hand you look at Tajikistan. On the other hand you see Pakistan. And in the context of Bangladesh is studying for Pakistan because Jamaat-e-Islam is holding their hand. Now, Jamaat-e-Islam wants the Arab culture to come. They're incapable of doing that. You just can't change culture. You can change faith system. There's no harm. That's done. But you can't change culture. And a Bengali cannot cease to be Bengali. They will once he tries to borrow the Arab culture, he will neither be a Bengali nor be Arab. He can never be Arab, even by appearance. Can never be Arab. And of course, language, ways of doing these things, Bengali shall remain Bengali. So here what happens is, if the Jamaat-e-Islami succeeds in Bangladesh, which I don't think is quite possible, then they will neither be a Bengali nor be an Arab. They will not be proper authentic Muslim. They will only be a semblance of mistakes of something of Bengal, some faith system of Islam. All these things creates bitter confusions and utter confusions for those who happen to be in that religion. This shall happen, and this is what happens all over the place in general sense of the term. Follow the Tajiki people. At least they are one society in the world who realizes that, in spite of being about 97-98% Muslims. This is a model for the entire world to look at, understand, and follow if you want to exist meaningfully. We'll meet again with some other thought. Namaste. Jai Bharat. Jai Shri Ram.